Are you the quantum mechanics?
Yes, we are the Quantum Mechanics. We're the paranormal podcast for the believers, the doubters, and everyone in between. I've got to say, Ben, I was quite impressed with, after last week's episode, the feedback we got. There are a lot of people who knew a lot about Jung. There were a lot of Jungians out there, which, had some really interesting perspectives on it, which was great. So thanks for all that feedback. We really love that. That's great. Especially amongst our patrons as well, who were... had some really interesting facts about Jung as well. So thanks everyone who responded. We do appreciate it.
And we'll be opening the Jung fan club soon.
The Young Paranormal fan club.
It will be called the Young Ones.
Yes, and it's probably worth mentioning Halloween, isn't it? Because...
it's coming.
It's coming. We've got the Halloween hangover, which we're going to be recording the night after Halloween.
That's right, yeah.
Hence the name. See what we did there. So we're going to be joined by a few people for that. So it's going to be a bit of an extravaganza at the pub, and we'll have that out just shortly after Halloween. So yeah, no specific thing that we're doing on Halloween per se, but we will have that out on the Monday as the Halloween hangover. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, there'll be ghost stories and... yeah, there's some other stuff we're organising where I think we'll have to see how it goes, but it'll kind of be interesting. Sort of some experimental stuff and some mediumship, that sort of thing.
Nice. We're doing Jazz Odyssey.
You're doing Jazz Odyssey, yes. Yes, and there will be some patrons coming along, so it'll be a small but modest and exciting club of people. So if you are in the area and you are a Patreon, feel free to come and join us. I don't know what I can promise apart from free entry, but you can have a Cornish pasty, I'm certain of it.
Ooh, well, if it's Cornish pasty, I'll definitely
be... I was actually thinking... I'm so hungry. I'm fantasising about a Cornish pasty.
So that's the Cross Keys, isn't it, in Tame on the night after Halloween, so on the 1st of Nov, which is a Saturday, I think. So, yeah.
It is. It's a little bit like when Elton John warms up for, like, the Aventine Apollo, and he just plays the local pub. We're sort of warming up for the live appearances next year.
We're doing it in... Yes, okay. I was going to say we're doing it in reverse. We'll be playing a cowshed the time
yes, but
after.
It'll be a full cowshed.
Yeah, definitely. What have we got today, Ben? I'm very excited.
What does Aintree mean to you?
I think of horses.
Yeah, Beecher's Brook, right?
Yeah.
That is not what I'm talking about, but I am talking about Aintree because we're going to visit somewhere where we're going to visit Bullbridge Lane. Sorry, I was struggling to read my notes there. Bullbridge Lane in Aintree, because this is where processions of hooded figures with their faces obscured carrying burning torches have been seen.
Okay.
And you might think, oh, what's this about? Is this particularly spooky? Let me tell you. The story begins with a chance encounter on such a dark night. And this account was collated by researcher Rob Gandy for an article in 2020 for the Fortean Times. But actually, some people have written more fulsome accounts of it for academic papers because it is so interesting. But the original work, absolutely credit Rob Gandy for this. One autumn evening, 1967 or 1968, a teenager we'll call Jeff Preston, for that is his name. It's not actually. Missed the last bus home, and he's walking along a place called Spencer's Lane. So there's no street lights at this particular time. In fact, that is now quite common, isn't it? You walk around. Where I live, they've turned off half the street lights. Where my mum lives, they've never put any in. So it's quite easy to imagine, but this is back in the 60s. But it was a big, fullish moon. Not entirely full, but fullish. So he could see where he was going. It's about 11:30 at night. And then he saw lights in the field about 150 yards to his right. This wasn't the farmhouse he was expecting, though. He saw a group of about 9 men walking in formation, 2 or 3 abreast like soldiers. They were carrying bright burning torches that cast flickering shadows across the field. And what they were wearing makes it seem all the more sinister, because they had these greyish robes with pointed hoods. You know, unfortunately, like the Ku Klux Klan?
Well,
like that.
There's a weird kind of flashback to something we've been talking about on the Extra Scoop as well. We've been obsessing about, it's quite an old music video that mixes the comedian and light entertainers Russ Abbott's Atmosphere with Joy Division's track of the same name. But the music video for that, which was done posthumously after Ian Curtis's death, directed by Anton Corbijn, I think, who was very kind of liked all those grainy black and white stuff, did some Depeche Mode videos. This is going somewhere, bear with me. That video has people carrying stuff around, but in grey hooded outfits as well.
Oh, really?
Nothing kind of KKK about it. That's just almost monks with pointed hoods on. So yeah, there's a weird connection there. Sorry, I've taken us off track.
No, that is a very strange coincidence. It has been a week of coincidences. Yeah. That is a strange coincidence. Because of course I was thinking, we always come back to the KLF. I was thinking about the KLF.
Yes, of course.
And their robes.
Yeah, on the Time Lords. Yeah.
Yeah, and also the rights of Mu. That's the kind of thing. Because that sort of comes up a bit later as well in the story. But Jeff, he didn't run and hide. He woke up his father.
So sorry, let me just go back a bit. So Jeff misses his bus. It was quite early in the morning, was it, or late at night? He's walking and then he sees these people lined up in this weird gear.
And they're walking in the field about 150 yards away from him,
carrying kind of...
flaming torches.
Flaming torches, not just the torches. Wow. Okay.
Oh, no, flaming torches.
What a weird thing to see. Okay, carry on.
So he gets home, wakes up his father. They look out the windows of the upstairs windows in their house.
I thought you were going to say his mum said, your dad's gone out in his robes. He won't be back for a while.
He couldn't find the matches. They could see this torchlight procession from where they were. And it's towards... So if anybody knows the area, this is southeast towards the area of Fazakerley. A brilliant British name there.
What a great name.
And the sight was so disturbing that Jeff refused to sleep in his own room that night. I mean, he's an adult.
How far away was he from them? Do we know? Is it kind of in the distance, or could they see him?
He got as close as the 150 yards, but at this point he's observing it across the field, so further away.
Yeah.
And this feels like something that you wouldn't see in the outskirts of Liverpool. We were used to perhaps KKK images on the television at that time, but they were from America, not from the UK. A few years later, in the early 1970s, Jeff's parents had their own encounter. They were driving home one night between 9:30 and 10, and they crossed Bull Bridge and saw the characters in the same field. This time, there's a dozen of them. Again, they've got burning torches, they're wearing robes, again, some with pointed hoods, but they weren't marching. They were standing in a circle. That's even more sinister, isn't it?
A bit weird, yeah. I don't know which is more sinister. Yeah.
Jeff's father claims that he was perplexed. The field is right by the road, is open ground.
Was he going, the boys have gone out without me?
He wasn't a Klansman.
I'm sorry, yes, I should clarify that, shouldn't I? Yeah.
Dozens, if not hundreds of people must have driven past. Yet when he asked around in the village over the next few days, nobody had seen a thing. It's like it had never happened, almost like it's confined to their family. And that's what they did think for a bit.
That is quite weird. Yeah, I hadn't thought of it in that thing. So there's no other reports at that time in the area about it?
No, not at all, no. And he's thinking... So he does have this one view that because it's in the sort of the autumn time, there's people practicing for some kind of Halloween event. And there's also a thought, well, maybe it's a film. But it's 3 years apart, 2 to 3 years apart, because he can't remember if it's 68 or 67. But the sightings continue to pop up. There's another guy, Glenn Preston. He contacted Gandhi, and he told a story from one of his father's friends. This friend was a security guard at a local factory. One morning in the early hours, he was riding his moped home along the same stretch of road when he saw a similar strange gathering. But the timelines of these events get even weirder. The most compelling account pushes the story back decades. In the late 1980s, Jeff's father was having a drink with an old friend who had long since moved to Canada. They hadn't been in the UK for ages. When Jeff's father began to tell the story, the friend stopped him and he said, "I know exactly what you're going to say." The friend then told him that he had seen the exact same thing when cycling home from a dance one night. hooded figures, torches, the lot. Oh. But when I said pushing it back, this was during World War II.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow.
So
what's that? That's 30 years earlier at least?
Yeah, so if we say the early years, so let's say 40, 41, and that sighting is in 67, 30-ish years, give or take.
Wow.
At that time in the early 40s, there would be strict blackouts, wouldn't there? So, as people probably know.
Yeah, you wouldn't be lighting torches and walking around. Wow, okay, yeah.
No, so cars had to have their headlights taped up almost just to a thin line across the middle. And there were wardens going around telling people to put the lights out in their houses.
To draw their blinds and all that kind of stuff. Put that light. I've seen movies with that in, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's also a trope from Dad's Army, isn't it?
That's right, yes, of course.
So the idea that they're walking around in a field with bright burning torches seems an incredible risk. Mm. And the air raid wardens would be on them all the time.
So the Klan connection, I mean, you might get onto this. This is just an assumption because of the attire and because they're carrying torches. Because I was thinking, we talked about the Joy Division video. We talked about the KLF. I wondered if there's a Druid connection here, or we may get onto that.
All of that will become clear.
Will all be revealed.
So we got these documented sightings going back to the 1940s, stretching to the 70s, and then into the 80s. These robe figures, the burning torches. But these are sustained events. People see them for a number of minutes. So they're not like phantoms that come and go, because this is a crucial point. So the reason that they didn't go to any supernatural explanation is because they can see these things and they persist. It was long enough for Jeff to get back to his house, wake his dad and look out the window. It's not sort of a ghost running past a tree.
Yeah.
I'm going to just kind of expand this out so that I can explain a bit more. Aintree's name means one tree, or one tree standing alone. And for centuries, it was like this small rural village surrounded by flat, boggy mossland.
Right.
And that was eventually drained for farming. The field in question lies next to the River Alt, A-L-T. And historical maps going back to the 18th century show that it was farmland. There was no ancient monastery, no battlefield, no pagan stone circle.
Right.
Nothing that makes it stand out as anything significant.
Yeah. So again, that doesn't lend itself to a kind of Druid connection, does it?
Exactly. So if, to your point, if it's a magical group, if they're trying to do an enchantment or something, why there?
There, yeah.
Rob Gandy did his research and he contacted some local families. One family who'd been in the area since 1933 had never seen anything. But interestingly, they admitted that they'd heard rumours over the years. So there was whisperings even in the 30s.
Wow.
There was one tragic event associated with the field. On Grand National Day in 1964, a Piper Apache plane crashed there, killing all five people on board. Among the victims was the famous journalist and broadcaster Nancy Spain. She was the editor of She magazine. I had to look her up, but yeah, she was famous at the time.
Yeah.
And it's a piece of local history that people do remember, but there are no ghost stories about it.
Right.
There are no sightings.
No paranormal fallout from it.
No. But it's in that field. So the immediate reaction everybody keeps coming back to is we've got a clan that is set up here.
Yep.
So let's explore that possibility for a moment, because you were asking.
Yeah.
It seems far-fetched, but there was a KKK presence in the UK. It was small and it was fragmented. And it was in areas that were experiencing economic hardship, primarily in the Midlands.
Right.
And clan leaders even helped to come and set it up. Now, in 1965, 8 members of a British KKK group were prosecuted under the Public Order Act for wearing their uniforms at a meeting near Rugby. I've got a piece of audio which lines up. So before they're arrested, they're interviewed on British television. Check out this clip.
Last Saturday night at the Chapel Pub, central Birmingham, the Ku Klux Klan made its first public appearance in Britain. 16 members and some journalists watched George Newey open the meeting.
This meeting here tonight is to form the Birmingham branch of the KKK. Greeting clansmen, greeting clanswomen.
What an orator.
It sounds like there's about 2 people there as well. I love that. It's in a Brummy accent. It really doesn't feel as sinister. I know it is sinister, but it doesn't feel it, does it? In a
No,
Brummy?
it's really strange.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the Temu of evil cults.
Yeah.
But they did wear their long white robes, their cloth head covers, and they were, as I say, prosecuted. They did their first, so included in that interview later on, coming up down the sort of the timeline on that. I didn't want to cover it because it's a bit like, we don't want to talk about such things on this podcast, but they did their first cross burning that night.
God's sake.
But the point is, Aintree isn't in Liverpool. It doesn't quite fit the profile of where the Klan was most active.
You're right.
And there's no doubting the visual similarity. But we have to think of other alternatives, and there is one. It's called the capirote.
Okay.
This is a pointed conical hat used in Spain by the Catholic Brotherhoods during Holy Week processions. The wearers, the Nazarenos, cover their faces to perform penance without drawing attention to themselves.
Right.
So tourists can be shocked at this because they think that it's a KKK thing, where it isn't at all. It's entirely different. It goes back to the Spanish Inquisition. The idea is that you're doing your penance in peace so that you're doing it in front of God. That's basically the idea of it.
Right.
Could a Spanish Catholic Brotherhood be conducting secret rituals in a field in Merseyside? Gandhi dismisses this as highly unlikely, because why would you travel all that way to a specific non-sacred location to practice in the dead of night? It doesn't seem to make any sense, although it fits what's been cited.
But it does. I agree. It seems incredibly unlikely that that's it. But what it does highlight is that attire, let's call it that I guess it's a costume. You could call it that, couldn't you? That costume is not just associated with the Klan. You know what I mean? There are examples, historical examples of other people who wear something very similar.
Yes.
Yeah. Going back further than, before the Klan even existed, I would imagine.
Yes. So, well, this might be a good time to investigate a different route then. If it wasn't political, maybe it was religious, maybe it was both. We don't know. But there's a witness named Mark who shared an experience he had in the 1980s. He was persuaded by a girl he liked to attend a meeting of evangelical Christians in a sports hall in Kirby. So that is just up the road from Aintree. Mark described the meeting as full-on stuff.
Right, okay.
People speaking in tongues, reciting long Bible passages in trance-like states. He said it was deeply disquieting. But what stood out to him was the inner circle who seemed to be leading everything. He witnessed the shunning of a former member who would have supposedly gone to the dark side. The person was completely ignored because they were said to be controlled by the devil. Mark found the whole atmosphere incredibly scary and believed that this inner circle, given their intensity and secrecy, might be capable of something as extreme as dressing up in robes and marching through a field at night.
Right.
The timing of this aligns with the tail end of the sightings. So an extreme Christian fundamentalist group expressing their beliefs through a bizarre, intimidating ritual is a possibility. It connects the visual imagery, and it mimics a powerful and notorious organisation with potential, it's potential that local people could have got involved with that because there's this meeting just down the road.
Right.
There's another explanation there. Running through them, and I will come to a conclusion. A local Merseyside author and paranormal researcher called Tom Sleeman has written extensively about a secret sect he calls the Lily White Boys. And here is where we get into local folklore. Because according to Sleeman, the Lily White Boys are a sun-worshipping cult that predates Christianity, practicing animal and allegedly once child sacrifice. The name itself is referenced in an old song. So, Green Grow the Rushes, oh. Do you remember that song?
No.
Green Grow the Rushes, oh. It's like a folk song.
Still don't remember it.
It was a hit in the 1300s.
Right, okay.
Now, it contains the line, "Tutu, the Lily White Boys, clothed all in greeno."
Okay.
This is where the stories intersect in a fascinating way. Sleeman recounts an incident from the 1970s where a young couple driving down Bullbridge Lane in Aintree saw a circle of figures in green robes standing around a bonfire. One was holding a small doll-like effigy.
Which again, at night, in a dark field, that you're not going to pick out the green.
You're not going to see the green, no. The man, Brian, got out of his car to take a closer look and asked the passing old man what was happening. The old man's reply said, "It's the Lily White boys burning a child." He warned Brian to stay away or they would kill him too.
Wow.
When police investigated the next day, they found the charred remains of a sheep.
Right, okay.
Sleeman also connects the Lily White boys to incidents during the World War II blackout. Just like the story from Jeff's father's friend, one account tells of ARP wardens investigating a huge bonfire in Bowring Park and being chased off by green-robed men wielding scythes and carrying a sword. This could be the answer to what's going on here. Could they have mistaken the greenish robes for grey or lighter robes in the torchlight?
Yeah.
It's possible, isn't it?
Yeah. Also, the sheep thing, I was thinking, could that be, they're sacrificing a kid.
Yeah, I mean...
You could mistake that, couldn't you? And kind of go, oh my God, they're sacrificing children. But, yeah, okay.
I mean, in this case, yeah, it was a doll. But, yeah.
Wow, okay.
So, the researcher Gandhi presented Sleeman's description to the original witnesses. Jeff couldn't recall any exaggerated noses, which Sleeman sometimes described on the hoods, like the hoods are pulled to the front in a point.
Oh, okay.
That's very KLF.
Like a womble.
Like a womble, and this is what the Lily White boys do.
Right.
But he admitted in the torchlight he probably couldn't see the colour of the robes properly.
Well, also, if they're walking, they can't walk like that, can they? So I get while they're in a circle and doing their thing, but for the guys who've seen them kind of traipse into the field, you're not going to have it like that, are you?
No, not at all, no. So we're kind of... Okay, the Lily White boys, it sort of makes sense, but then Gandhi notes that he could find no reference to the Lily White boys independent of Tom Sleeman's own findings.
Right, so one source in that sense. Right.
So that's a huge red flag. It is possible that Sleeman was taking the genuine spooky local sightings of these, in inverted commas, spectres, woven them into a much grander, more ancient narrative, or he could be the only person to find out about this genuinely highly secret folk tradition.
And I guess now it would be impossible to get police records that would refer to that, wouldn't it? Because if the police were involved, you'd think at the time there'd be some record of it.
Well, we get them third accounts from Sleeman.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, I see what you mean.
Well, you could. I'm saying that other people could research that further, but it's probably none of that stuff probably exists anymore.
So he comes to three sort of makeshift conclusions. One, okay, this is just paranormal. They're spectres.
Right.
But that doesn't really go with other people who say that they seem physical. So, a British chapter of the Ku Klux Klan. Possible, not impossible, but to intimidate, to perform a ritual under darkness. Why? But it's plausible. An extreme fundamentalist group who want to carry out some kind of cult-like activity. That's possible because, of course, the KKK do claim to be a Christian fundamentalist group as well.
Yeah.
It's possible they carried some ideas over, and it was a strange time in British politics and, British race relations. That, he says, is possible. The Lily White boys, that just seems like a story, unfortunately. Or is it just a story? Because I found this that was written in 2022 by a different researcher. And it talks about a couple who are out on a July night in 1996. LSD, she's 18, and her boyfriend,
Sorry, her name's LSD.
Oh, yeah, I hadn't even thought about it, yeah.
God, she must have had a tough time at school.
LSD, yeah. and Jake Kelly, who's her boyfriend at the age of 20. And they've gone off to the Heswall Dales, it's called. So apparently they're listening to the music on the radio. They're very specific. They're listening to Radio 1's Essential Mix live at Amnesia.
What was on?
I don't know. And beside the couple, they've been drinking a lot of hooch. You remember hooch? I think it's still around.
Oh, that's the, is that the lemon?
It's the lemon one, yeah.
Can I tell you, I've got a funny hooch story. Actually.
Oh, go on.
So we went, a long time ago now, we went on a big extended family holiday to Spain. And no, actually, I think it was France. And we drove down there. It was a really long drive and I was really tired. And we'd stopped up at the supermarket, bought some bits. But, I think my daughter she was quite young. She was about 5. She was really into lemonade. And we got there. I was like, I didn't buy any lemonade, sorry. And Grandpa goes, I bought some lemonade. You can have some of mine. So,
no.
So Grandpa pulls out this big glass of lemonade for my 5 or 6 year old daughter, who starts drinking it. And being polite, she came up to me and said, I don't like it. And I was like, yeah, come on, Grandpa's got it. He's going to be a bit, just drink it. It's fine. And then she's had another sip. She was, I really don't like it. Taste it. He bought hooch.
That's incredible.
So no wonder she didn't like it. Alcoholic lemonade. Yeah, sorry, I sidetracked you.
No, because it's very easy to do. I bought a bottle of what I thought was like fruity energy drink, and it screamed on the front, made with real fruit, and it was like half a litre of it. This is in the summer. I was like, just drink that while I'm driving, and I put it in the cup holder of my car. And I was like swigging this down as I was going along, and I was thinking, blimey, this is very weird
sensation.
Very weird sensation. I looked at it; it was 14%.
Oh, blimey!
I know. I really what? Oh God! So I was really drink driving. Luckily for any law fans listening, I had only drunk about half a bottle. I calculated I had about 2 units, so I was pretty much safe to drive. But if I hadn't noticed, I'd have drunk half a litre of 14% alcohol whilst driving, merrily kicking along. It's easy to do.
Try explaining that when you get pulled over by the police.
Yes, sorry, officer. I thought it was just an energy drink.
You're going to have to recap because I can't remember where we got onto the subject of hooch in the first place.
Oh, right. Ellis and her boyfriend, they're out listening to Radio 1's Amnesia.
Yeah, right, and they're drinking hooch. Yeah.
They're drinking hooch. It's a full moon. That's not necessarily important. What is important is just as they are getting fruity, as it were, they stop.
Hoochie.
And Ellis is like, what's that sound? And Jake goes, oh, it's an owl. I love that. It's an owl. Just get on with it.
Yeah, it's an owl.
But it wasn't an owl, because as they sit up and have a look, there was some kind of distant chanting.
Right.
It's midnight and the field is lit by just this moon. So he starts to get worried. He shouts into the darkness, who's there? Or he actually says, according to him, who the is that?
Right. Who the hooch is that?
Who the hooch is that? They see a greyish figure in the moonlight who heads towards her and Jake. And as the man drew closer, Ellis, turns and points out there's more of them. So there's 4 of them, and they come towards them, and they've got these long grey robes on, but part of it is green, which is interesting.
Part of the robe is green?
Part of the robe is green. Like
not the whole robe, but part of it.
The bottom part, they say, is green.
Oh, okay.
They've got sinister pointed hoods and eye holes, and they're carrying something which glints in the moonlight. And that something is swords and a scythe.
Oh, for goodness sake.
I know. So they get really worried and squeeze each other's hands and basically just stare these people down.
Wow.
The person in the robe at the front says, we come in the name of the Green Man, the Lady of the Woods and the Overlord Moon, and we shall offer the heart of a virgin to them.
No, what he did say was, we'll come in the heart of the lady.
That's exactly what he did sound like. Yeah, with a kipper tie. And they say the people in the robes ask them, or rather command them, to take off their clothes.
Right.
Or they say that they will slaughter them.
Wow.
So they don't know what to do, but Ellis is like, well, we've just got to do what they say. So they do take their clothes off. One of the cultists raises a sword above his head and starts recounting some sort of weird chant. Before they know it, the blade of the sword has come down and severed the radio that they're listening to. They basically smashed up the radio.
Blimey, everyone's a critic. God, how terrifying must that be? That's incredibly terrifying.
I know. Just as they are getting to the final stage of taking all their clothes off, the man who's carrying the scythe approaches the girl and placed his hand on her head. Jake tries to intervene. He gets pushed down to his knees. Ellis screams out. There's a bit of a kerfuffle. And they leave. Now, they didn't do anything to the kids. In the end, they didn't do anything.
Yeah.
But we end up in this scenario where nobody quite knows what's going on. They have been terrified. They think something really bad is going to happen. You know, they were seemingly going for Ellis. He thought at worst they were going to kill her. At best, something terrible.
It's a terrible power trip, isn't it?
It's a really bad power trip, and that's what they eventually figure out, that it is that.
Yeah.
And they sort of go, look, I think it was just sort of four people out, perhaps got drunk, the same as us. They decide to intimidate these kids, and rather than actually cause them any physical harm, they just make them undress and smash up their radio. And of course, they do tell the police, and
which
the police,
is traumatic in itself. You know, I'm not. You know, can't make light of that if you're on the receiving. I'm not saying you are, but that's incredibly traumatic, isn't it? When you think about it, yeah.
But it's strangely similar to the description of the Lily White boys.
It is. Sorry, did you say they didn't tell the police, or they did?
They did,
yeah.
And the police look into it, and of course there's no evidence apart from the smashed up radio, so they give a statement, and they just carry on because, they weren't actually harmed in the end. But it's still weird, and it comes after Gandhi has said, I don't think the Lily White boys are real, but this is something that really did happen. It was, as I say, it was only reported 2 years after that article in the 14 Times. Now, having a look around it, I read some people who said, well, that sounds very much like a creepypasta type of story. But the source I got it from quotes it as being real and delivered by the two people it happened to. So it might be that I have been completely misled, but from what I could see, it did check out.
But what we're saying here, unless it is some kind of spectre, some paranormal with a capital P type thing that's going on, it's generational, isn't it? Because we've got stories here from the 1930s right up until, pretty much present day. So if it's people and an organisation, it's one that's been around for a while.
It absolutely has been around for a while, and at least 40 years in living memory.
Yeah.
Between those sightings. So Sleeman is kind of set aside by Rob, and his explanation, he falls down to it being a human explanation. His best guess is that there is a different kind of cult operating around there. It could be the Lily White boys. It could be one that's completely unrelated. The problem with cults is they tend to be quite secretive.
Yeah.
So even if you interview someone who saw it, if they've got anything to do with the cult, they're going to go no, aren't they?
But all these stories are in the Aintree area, right?
Oh, yes.
So are there examples of this activity outside of that area, like people in those green cloaks or whatever it is?
I have got lots of accounts of cloaked figures, which I will be talking about in the Extra Scoop, but they are not the same as this. There are people who are singular figures or even small groups of figures, but they are missing the flaming torch. They're certainly missing flashing scythes in the moonlight, and they are missing the like gathering in a circle and looking like absolutely something terrifying in the middle of the night. I will say though, I did have an encounter, not with hooded figures, but with witches on. Well, I don't know if that. Okay, so I have to qualify. They said they appeared to be practicing some kind of earth or Gaia magic.
Right.
Back when I was 18, and how do they say, courting?
Right. Drinking hooch.
Yes. I was on a field as a public common ground in the middle of the summer. I was still at school. I was still in sixth form. And the girl I was with, we took a blanket out and put it on the grass. And again, there was a moon going. And again, we heard voices and like chanting. Like, what is that?
Wow.
So we looked over, and about, I don't know, 250 yards away was a group of figures, all women, some completely naked, some in robes. And we're like, what is going on? And they were in a circle. There was a fire going, and there was definitely loads of chanting. And we waited kind of like, we didn't really want to be seen, but this was quite a weird thing to experience.
Couldn't take your eyes off it.
When the morning, we went back to the car, then didn't leave. We went back about 3 hours later, and they'd all gone, but the remains of the fire were there.
Okay.
But there was strange, I've still got it, like a stick with ribbons around it.
Oh, you still got the stick?
Yeah. There was like another little effigy type of thing, which was a strange kind of wooden face that had like got char marks around it. So I figured like we'd encountered some kind of, definitely some kind of ritual. I don't think it was I don't think they were sacrificing babies, but there will be people who live in the villages around there who won't have seen it. Only the people that were involved probably know what it is.
Yeah.
And I think
they didn't see you.
No. And I'm very glad, because we felt, we were young and stupid. We felt like this was none of our business, and we could wouldn't get away with it. And a witch without clothes on is known as being skyclad, and that is used for like quite powerful incantations and stuff. So I figured that they were doing something quite powerful within their own belief system, and it's quite possible that these other people, like, it might not have been sinister. I mean, it looked sinister, but maybe they were just doing something to bring fertility to the land or something. You never know.
Yeah.
They could be male, a group of men who bring magic to the fore. It's completely feasible. But I prefer the other explanation that a few other people have come at Gandhi with and kind of said, actually, I think it's a spectre. I think you are seeing spectres. I mean, his argument is there's no relatable experience that land has had which would bring you spectres. But then, that is the same in a lot of places. How can you have a haunted upstairs bedroom on a piece of land where the house has only been erected for 2 years and there's no one died in the house, and yet there is a haunted bedroom upstairs? So sometimes those hauntings don't make sense, and this might be one of those. But he did go to extraordinary lengths to research this, and hats off to him. And I wanted to tell that story because as the evenings get darker, I always fear, like when I take the dog out for a walk, that I'm going to encounter, some kind of evil force who would, intimidate me. I hope they don't make me take my clothes off and smash my radio up, but you never know.
With their scythe in their hand.
I know. Carrying the scythe is particularly... I know. But the other thing it made me think of, and I know it's not directly related, but you remember the episode about the hooded figures during the plague?
Yes, yeah, it was, especially with the scythes as well.
Exactly.
They were reported to have scythes. It also made me think, if you go down a route that it's a spectre rather than a human being. I was thinking while you're talking about, we did something the other week. I can't remember what the context of it was. It's that thing where we went around the world, the most seen ghosts.
Yes.
And one that's very common in Britain and other places is the hooded monk.
Monk, yes.
And when you said spectre, I was thinking about the hooded monk. It's interesting, isn't it? Again, off the top of my head, I can't remember many stories of hooded monks, plural, being seen. They normally are a solitary figure, but you could easily mistake this either for a hooded monk, or it's a hooded monk that's being mistaken for something else. Maybe because you're seeing them in a group, you don't think of it in that way.
A hooded monk is the only ghost my 100% sceptical father has ever seen.
Yeah, I remember you saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, of course, there is the Black Monk of Pontefract, who is supposed to hang out in 30 East Drive.
Yeah.
Although, opinions differ. There is no... The stories that tie the monk there, I think, are tenuous.
But, you started this by talking about potentially a connection with the Klan. But in terms of... I don't know enough about it, but I always vision them in white robes, and a lot of the descriptions you've given today are there's no mention of a white robe. Okay, maybe in the dark you might see it as white, but
they're not always in white robes.
Oh right, okay, all right. They do vary.
They do vary. I mean, the common one is white robes, but there are some ceremonial red ones. Right. And it's completely feasible that, a British... I mean, you heard those guys. The reason I wanted to play that news clip, not only to kind of... Because I found it weird that in 1965, we're interviewing Klanspeople in Birmingham. But did you think that the way that guy talks, like... when he puts on a robe, it makes him going to feel like a big man.
Yeah.
But I can't really see... I mean, he's going to go out at night with a torch and kind of get bored. I mean, they weren't the terrifying force that these monks appear to be.
Yeah.
And they're certainly not going to do that thing with those two kids. They're not going to go up to those two kids and kind of intimidate them and break their radios. It doesn't seem like it fits. You hear that news report and you just think... it's just some ignorant people in a pub who like putting pajamas on.
Yeah.
So I don't know where I fall down on this. I think maybe a secret cult is kind of where if I had a gun to my head I'd end up. But I really just hope they're paranormal entities.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? If you take your example of your coven of witch encounters.
Yeah, it's possibly a coven, yeah.
There are people who it's almost living out some fantasy for some people, isn't it? That, I always feel that with those, when you hear, and I know there's a lot of satanic panic, but those satanic groups that get together, I think your themes are right. Maybe not so much the witchcraft thing, but maybe it does tie in as well. But, there's themes of people wanting to feel important or special or, fantastical. And somehow the dressing up, the going out, the behaving in a way that's almost counterculture makes them feel that way. So I get the story of them horribly intimidating the young people because, like you said, it's like... and not doing anything about it. It's just it gives them a feeling of power, doesn't it?
It does. And I just want to be very clear, because I know we have some witches listening. I was not implying that a coven of witches isn't doing something real and important. It was just the how foreign it was to my eyes to see it, and how I was scared just because it's foreign.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that every group of witches is in this same category, but I'm saying there are themes in some groups where there is a feeling of being special or giving you
of
power.
course. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's, that's why, you put a robe over your head and you're a different anonymous person. You can, in inverted commas, do what you like.
I guess that's what uniforms are for, aren't they, in a way?
Yeah.
They've got that power as well.
Yeah, that's true. Not school uniforms, though.
No, there was a great, I can't remember the name of the series, but they were a group of magicians and they used to play pranks and stuff. Almost candid camera, kind of secret filming type stuff. And they did a really interesting one. Do you remember when you could go over to France and, they called them booze cruises, didn't they? And
Fill the van.
Yeah, fill the van up, fill your car up with wine or whatever. And they did a kind of sting thing to show how easy it was. They'd wait for people to pull out of wherever it was, Dover, ferry port, with their vans full of booze. And secretly film it, they'd pull them over dressed in uniforms and say they were customs and that they'd somehow, these groups had managed to breach some law and just we've got to confiscate the booze. So they'd take it all out of the van and kind of drive off with it. But they weren't. They just dressed up in a uniform. And, it was for a prank for a TV show, but they explained it's like the uniform, people just didn't question it because it was somebody dressed like a policeman, Yeah, and there's something about that, isn't there? The uniform does hold a certain degree of power, whatever it is.
Oh, yeah. Well, my favourite thing, and I've seen it happen twice and I've done it once, is if you see somebody in a supermarket who's wearing an outfit that is roughly the colour of the uniform of the people that work there. And I think the most obvious one is Asda because of that distinctive green. And you go up to them and go, "Excuse me, do you know where the milk is?"
Yeah.
And they look at you like,
I don't work
I don't work here. Like, oh, because in my mind, you really do like you do.
Yeah. And it's like, I guess it's the same in driving, isn't it? Not that I would ever exceed the speed limit, but when I've been in cars where people have been exceeding the speed limit, you can, you see in the films, you see the chevrons of a car up in front of you, and you're going, "Is that a police car? Is that an ambulance? Is that highway maintenance?"
In a film,
yeah. And then you wait until you know what it is. So there's power in symbols and there's power in uniforms, I guess.
Yeah, you got to be careful though, because those unmarked police cars are in the most unlikely vehicles these days.
Are they?
Well, yeah,
you've heard.
I've seen them on films. Yeah, I've seen them on films. Okay, well that wraps up hooded figures. I will be speaking about more hooded figures on the Extra Scoop. They don't, as I say, they're not carrying flaming torches, but they are incredibly interesting, including the Genie Kakaluti. Now, I've been practicing how to say that. When you say to Google, "How do you pronounce this?" And it goes, no, could you actually tell me properly? Genie Kakaluti. And there's some really curious and interesting and very paranormal things about them and some others. If you want to hear that, please pop over to go to patreon.com/TQMpod.
We never get that right, do we?
Honestly, it's so easy. Patreon.com/TQMpod. It is only $4.50 a month, not even £4, $4.50 a month. And join us for extra episodes, early episodes and extra episodes, all ad-free, the community, access to when we do them live gigs. That is a new thing. Obviously, that's not a particularly regular thing. And also our Discord server, should you so wish to be Discordian.
Lovely. All right. Well, come and join us there. If not, we will see you next week with more quantum mechanics.
We'll see you next week. Thank you.
Thanks for listening. Bye.
Are you the quantum mechanics?